I absolutely hate it when one of my videos flop. I know that crushing feeling when I realize the effort I put in, it doesn't match the views I got. But I found the secret to keep in the game, to keep going. And it is to keep my engagement high and at the same time keep my emotional investment low. I will explain what it means on a simple matrix. So if you know how it feels when you pitched a client or you created a new product or you even made a new video and then you know what it feels like. It can be so devastating. And what most people do then is to give up, or they amplify the grind. They grind even harder. But there's actually a third way to respond. And once you've seen that way, you will not be able to unsee it. Transformative coach Michael Neill uses two aspects to explain what resilience actually is. He mixes two elements, and those two elements are, like I said, engagement and investment. And when you mix those two, you get 4 quadrants. And we are going to talk about these 4 quadrants and what's the sweet spot where you want to spend most of your time in. So let's look at them one by one. The first one is when you have low engagement, but at the same time, you have low investment. I call this the couldn't be bothered quadrant to be in. It's when you're not particularly interested in the activity and you really don't worry about the outcome. That's a great place to live, to camp out, if you don't want any stress, but you also won't achieve much in your life. You don't want to spend all of your life here. Some areas of your life, that's okay, but not all of them. Okay, the second one is when you have high investment, but low engagement. And the best way to describe this, if you are a sports fan, you care and you have a favorite team. You care so much how they fare in the season. But as an ordinary fan, you probably don't have a lot of say in who they pick for the team, what are the tactics on the field. No one is going to listen to you. So you have very low engagement. You can't do a lot, but you also have high investment, and that's why people get so crushed when their teams lose, because they don't really have agency over the outcome. It's also when there are causes that are important to you, political causes, environmental causes, religious causes, whatever it is, and you get all riled up about what is going on in society, but you are not engaged. You are not really taking action to get the outcomes you want. And that can lead to something called learned helplessness, where it feels as if nothing that you do is making a difference. You really don't want to spend your life in that quadrant either. Now, the next one is where I think most creators and most entrepreneurs are. And that is where you have high engagement, but also high investment. So yes, you bring your all. You give all of your mental energy, because that's what engagement is always about, or even your physical energy. You bring your energy, you bring your passion, you bring your best ideas. But at the same time, you're also very much invested in the outcome. So what happens, you give it all and it flops, as it invariably would, because when you're building something new, it's not going to work at the beginning. It never does. It's trial and error. So it doesn't work, and then you get discouraged. Well, I do, and I see the clients, the people that I coach, it also happens with them. They also get discouraged and disheartened when things don't work out. So you kind of then tell yourself, I'm never going to put myself through that again. But because you're such a high achiever, you almost can't help yourself, and you get in the game again, and you try again, and you bring your all, and you add, the engagement is high, all your energy, you give it all you got. And you also, this has to work. You're very invested, emotionally invested how it turns out. And then once again, It doesn't turn out the way that you had hoped, that you had dreamed it would turn out. And if you go through this cycle again and again, it is a very great recipe to get burnout, right? You get that. Okay, now let's look at number 4, the fourth quadrant, and that is where you have high engagement but low investment. So you are still bringing all your energy, mentally and even emotionally and creatively. You're giving your best ideas, you're bringing your passion, you're bringing all your enthusiasm into a product, but you are not hung up on the outcome. You are not so much interested in the outcome. You are not invested in it, not emotionally invested in it. And that is the sweet spot where I want to be most of the time. And if you're a creator, especially at the beginning of your journey, or an entrepreneur wants to build this dream life, that's where you want to spend most of your time too. That's the sweet spot. And now, of course, the next question is, but how? How do you do that? And I have found 3 ways, 3 tips, 3 insights that helps me on this journey. And it's also helping my clients. Let me share them with you. The first one is to focus on what you can control. I love the way that the author Byron Katie puts it. She talks about 3 kinds of business. There's other people's business, there's God's business, and then there's your business. And if we were to translate those 3 kinds of business into a YouTube video, for instance, God's business in this case would be the algorithm. You don't have control over that, and they keep changing it, and for a good reason, and they have the best minds in the industry working on it, so you really can't fight that. You don't even understand it. We can't understand it. They kind of keep it hidden from us because they want to protect the channel, right? They want to protect the platform. So you don't have insight. You can't really fight it. That would, for me, be God's business, fighting the algo. Right? It doesn't bring you anywhere. The second one would be other people's business, right? And that is, you cannot force people to click on your videos. You cannot make them watch the video all the way. We don't have that kind of power. But if I focus on those 2 aspects, I am going to drive myself crazy, and I'm going to get very, very disheartened. I'm going to get very tired. But if I focus on that third door, the open door, my business, how can I show up? And that is by giving it my all, by being passionate, by being enthusiastic, by making the best videos that I possibly can with the skill set I have right now, with the knowledge and the insight I have right now, and doing it over and over again. That's the part that I have control over. But even, I get this because I'm on this journey as well. Even if you understand that, you realize, okay, I can't control everything. Those emotions, those very overwhelming emotions, they are still going to bubble up, right? The discomfort, the overwhelm, the disappointment, even just total discouragement, and I'm not getting anywhere, telling yourself that. How do you deal with the feelings? And here's an insight, something that I found to be so, so true. Reminding myself, feelings are fleeting. They are immensely fleeting, a lot more fleeting than I have realized before, but I'm getting to know it more and more. You know what the science tells us, the research shows that if you don't mess with a feeling, and what do I mean by that? If you do not keep feeding it new story, new interpretation, because that's where feelings come from. You create them with your own thinking. And if you stop that, if you don't add another story, add another interpretation to a feeling, it can pass through your body in a minute and a half. That's right, in 90 seconds. Now, to be quite honest with you, when I am really in one of my bad moods because I'm discouraged about YouTube, I rarely make it to 90 seconds. That's like the best one I can hope for. sometimes it does take a little bit longer to get over a feeling that feels so overwhelming. Because it's just the way that you are wired. You feel this feeling and then it feels so real, and it feels as if you are going to feel like this forever. But that great saying of this too shall pass, that comes into play so it's so truthfully here. Understanding that feelings don't last forever. It's almost when you are walking on the stairs and you feel as if a little bit wobbly, grab onto the rail, and the rail is this insight. I feel very bad now, but I've been here so many times before, and I always feel better again. That's the guardrail. You kind of want to lean into that insight. Feelings are very, very, very transient, very, very fleeting. Okay, the third one, that's kind of the third insight, is helping you more in the long run. It's like keeping the bigger picture in mind. And that is to trust your inner knowing. What do I mean by that? When I create videos on topics that really interest me and that hopefully benefits you as well, that helps you, I front load my experience with dopamine when I'm making the video, because I remind myself, even if I am a very, very successful YouTuber and I have millions of subscribers, what I am doing right now, sharing ideas with people, learning to get more fluent in it, explaining it in a more compelling way, that is what I love doing. And even if I were very successful, it's still what I would love doing. So I get to do what I enjoy doing so much right now, even before I am very successful. And that keeps me on track. But for that to happen, I'm not trying to please someone else. I'm trying to stay truthful to my own inner knowing. Then I'm not that dependent on the views and the clicks and whatever the metrics are that I'm supposed to watch. And that is how I help myself to stay in that sweet spot of high engagement but low investment. And I hope that is helpful for you as well, so that we can keep going and make the world a better place by sharing our ideas and sharing our passion. If you like this video, I'm sure you're going to like the other one that I made about Alex Honnold, the mountaineer, being the best mindset coach in the world. Go check it out, and please subscribe and like.